Hello again. Today I want to talk about Equilibrium 2002.
Not without incident. I'm coming.
You may have forgotten about this one because it was a floppiana, but I rewatched it not that long ago and I was just like, wow. So I want to talk about it. So it was written and directed by Kurt Wimmer, who's just some dude, who also directed Ultraviolet in 2006, which is very similar to Equilibrium, but it's not the same. Because I don't think that one has stood the test of time as much. I don't know, I need to rewatch it, but I feel like it probably hasn't. It's very much like a movie that distant relative would have in their DVD case. For me, I'm thinking specifically like my mum's cousin who just has like giant DVD collection, and anytime we would go visit and I had to choose a movie, I would pick one of these like kind of dystopian sci-fis, because I thought it would be like a crowd pleaser for everyone involved. So yeah, it was very much in this trend in the early 2000s of like dystopian, totalitarian, near future, futuristic movies, which kind of started with like let's say The Matrix, but obviously other ones like Artificial Intelligence, Minority Report were big ones as well, and Aeon Flux. Obviously these kind of sci-fis can also be seen in the 80s with like Total Recall, Blade Runner, this like gritty, almost like noir aspect. I have some theories, but they're just theories, as to like why these movies were so popular in the early 2000s, and I don't know if it was just because it was the new millennium and things were going to be like new and exciting and they wanted to explore what the future could look like, or if it was maybe like a reaction to what was going on in the culture of the early 2000s. Obviously there was the perceived threat of terrorism, this like us versus them mentality, the like bubble almost bursting with late stage capitalism, and like a lot of overseas wars and stuff. Although this one was made in 2000, so 9/11 hadn't happened yet, but I think there was still under George W. Bush. Listen, I don't know if I'm getting too political, but like these are just theories. Like I don't know if I'm right or wrong. But it's interesting to see like the trends in these kind of movies, because I feel like there's also, well, this is like a noted fact that there's trends in horror movies. There's like certain things that creep up, depending on what's going on in the culture around us. Certain fears will be explored through horror, and maybe it's the same with sci-fi. I don't know. I'm just bumping my gums here. Anyways, so Equilibrium 2002, it stars Christian Bale, Sean Bean for all of 2 minutes, Emily Watson, Taye Diggs, and this alien looking guy who looks like the love child of Willem Dafoe and James Spader, but he does the job very well. So Christian Bale did this like post American Psycho. He looks gorgeous. Love when he's clean shaven. He is giving very much an emotionless performance for 90% of the movie, but that's actually the point. So just like listen and learn. Like that's literally the point of the performance. So the plot, yeah, let's get into it. So it's like it's set in 20 something, 2072 or something. A third world war has happened. This new state has come to fruition after the war, and it's seen as like this utopia, but it's totalitarian. And the way they've realized that they can prevent any future wars is to control emotions. So what they do is they make emotions and anything that elicits emotions illegal. Love. So they take a drug to repress emotions, and that's basically the plot. Within the first 10 minutes, Christian Bale, who's called John Preston in the movie, is a cop, and his partner is Sean Bean, and they do a raid of like this squad of rebels that have emotions, and they find loads of stuff that elicits emotions, and they're on their way back home, and then John Preston is like, I think Sean Bean's feeling emotions. This is another thing as well, is that John Preston is an empath, even though, how does that make sense? Because he's not supposed to have emotions, but like he can feel when other people are feeling. So he can feel that his partner's feeling, so he then shoots his partner. This isn't really a spoiler because it's within 10 minutes, and it's also 20 years old. So because he shot his partner, he gets a new partner who's Taye Diggs. And Taye Diggs is like a super empath, a dark empath, if you will, as those TikTok girlies would say. So he comes in, and when Christian Bale is like, I can feel emotions, Taye Diggs is like, I can feel even more emotions, actually. So that's the plot. And John Prescott then finds this like other rebel, I don't know, these digs. Also, the rebels are called sense offenders, which is like, was that supposed to be a play on sex offenders? And if so, what the fuck? So he finds this sense offender, who's Emily Watson, and she's gorgeous, and she's wearing velvet. And it's just about how he then goes over to the dark side, to like the feeling side. That's essentially the plot of the movie. And then he becomes like a double agent. He tries to kill the authority figure of the land, who they call father. Why are you calling him daddy? Why are you calling him daddy? Yeah. Also, the like police are called clerics of the Tetragrammaton, which is apparently a thing, and it's like a religious thing. There's like a lot of religious ties to things, and I don't know if it was to be like a melding of state and church, or like law and church. I don't know, but it makes for some cool visuals, I'll say that much. Anyway, also another thing about the movie is that a lot of it was shot in Berlin and in Rome using fascist architecture, because they wanted to show like this is a fascist regime, even though it's for like the good of the people. Anyway, what I loved, there's several things I loved. There's a scene where John Preston discovers like this secret hideout, and whereas the rest of the movie is totally monochrome, like black, white, and grey, this place, this little hideout is all like warm tones, yellows, browns, oranges. And he's just like, this is when he's starting to think like, wait a minute, am I feeling emotions? And he accidentally plays a record, and it's Beethoven, and that scene is really stunning. Really, 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 really stunning. And then when he's questioning Emily Watson, she's like, why are you alive? This movie is going to make you think, okay, why are you alive when you can't feel anything? Something to think about. Another thing I loved is the white car interior. Why would you do that? Like, why would you do that? But also it's so chic, and I love it, and I want it. I think like with futuristic things, they always go, in real life anyway, they always go with like steel, black, shiny. I think it should be matte white. Cause why not? It's like a very 80s view of the future in a way. Another great moment from Christian Bale is when he is starting to have emotions, etc. He has a nightmare for like the first time ever, and he wakes up in a sweat, and he starts grabbing his tit. Whoa. They don't make them like that anymore, okay? And then yeah, so as I was saying, the most of the movie is in monochrome, but there's some key moments that have a lot of colour in them. So with the scene with like the hideout that John Prescott finds, and then there he finds like a ribbon that he starts to keep, and that's red. And he also, when he's like witnessing Emily Watson get incinerated, because that's what happens to the sex offenders, is they don't just get jailed, they get murdered. So he's watching her get incinerated and his eyes are like bloodshot. Whoa, cinema. And then there's like a scene at the end when he's getting a lie detector test, and his cheeks are all rosy and it's so cute. And I'm sure it was just makeup, but I just love it. I think it's so cute. Love, 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 love the contrast of like those little pops of colour amidst the very dull everything else. The costuming obviously is really great. It's very, most of it is very monochrome, so they play with a lot with textures. There's the guards who are in charge of the incineration have these like almost beekeeper helmets. It's really cool. And then this girly Emily Watson, she wears like a cape to get incinerated, and it almost has the texture of, you know, those like lizard toys with like sand in them that you would get, that kind of like shiny material. That's the only way I can describe it. It also almost just looks like wet, but it's not. It's this kind of heavy, I don't know what to call it. But I love that. I love that. That's like a little detail you don't really get to see unless you're paying attention like me. And yeah, that's also like blood red, which love. The choreography is also stunning. There's a lot of fight scenes, but they're choreographed really well. There's a lot, I feel, of like a theatre and dance element because it's so well choreographed. Like everyone hits their mark, if that makes sense. And it almost becomes like a dance. There's a lot of Asian influence in this movie, both in the costuming and in the choreography, in the fight choreography, because it's supposed to be like a gun kata. What the fuck does that mean? But it's like supposed to be influenced by martial arts, I guess, and there's a lot of like Tai Chi elements to it, which a lot of like futuristic movies do. They like borrow from Asian influence, which is a whole another kettle of fish. I'm sure I watched a really good video about it, and if I find it I will link it below. And then the composer apparently also did Catwoman, which is another flop that I love. Yeah, my thesis, to be honest, with this movie is it's very much a movie that you would have gone to see at the cinema, and when you come out of it, you'd be like, you know, like you would think you have superpowers. You'd be like, you know? I would feel like I did that a lot after going to see things at the cinema. I would like go to the bathroom and be like, who the fuck are you? Yeah, I rewatched it last year after not having seen it for years and years, and I called it middling then, but I was wrong because it's really good. When I watched it not that long ago, I was just like captivated. I was really, really captivated. And I just think it's great. I think you should watch it. I think like if you like The Matrix, you'll love this one. Also, I did minimal research because I just wanted it to be my own opinion. But what I read that the director and the writer said was that he said, "Why would I make a movie for someone I wouldn't want to hang out with? Have you ever met a critic who you wanted to party with? I haven't." He kind of ate. Anyway, I think that's all I've got to say about Equilibrium 2002. I think that's all I had to say. Yeah, you should watch it. That's my suggestion. Okay. Thanks for watching.